We've turned a new leaf. Our new semester resolution is to be a serious news show. What are you doing?
We kind of broke that rule our first episode, though.
That doesn't matter.
Okay, maybe there's a second chance.
Or third chances. We've got a whole semester to work on it.
We're gonna need the whole semester to work on it.
Okay, that's negative. Hello, and welcome back to The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm your host, Abby Perry.
And I'm... I'm Parker Carlson.
We've got a whole episode of the most professional, accurate, industry repertoire of fair and unbiased, studio-mandated, credible, consistency creates credibility, verified sources, internal, bureaucratic...
She means we've got official, grown-up news tonight.
Yes, journalistic integrity.
And our first package for tonight involves the reputable reporter, Ben Nelson.
Correct. He's here to report on the latest installment to the Jurassic World universe in his short film by Colin Trevorrow. Ben?
Thank you, Abby. Last Sunday night, Colin Trevorrow debuted a short film based off of the events at the end of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Spoilers for said film. The film is called Battle at Big Rock, and the clip is available on YouTube right now. The film depicts a small family, 2 parents, 2 children, and 1 baby living in a camping shelter after the events occurred at Big Rock National Park. The cast includes Andre Holland, Natalie Martinez, Melody Hurd, Pearson Salvador, Chris Finlayson, and Noah and Ethan Cole. Surrounded by multiple other shelters in what seems to be a small gathering of people and families, everyone in the clip is trying not to be detected by these newly escaped beasts, as depicted at the end of Fallen Kingdom. The father doesn't take kindly to when he hears that one of his neighbors is teaching his daughter how to shoot a crossbow, when they soon hear rustling in the bushes and notice that everyone else has taken shelter in their makeshift homes. An adult female Triceratops and her young child are wandering to the campsite while the family watches from the window. No one is too worried at first when suddenly an Allosaurus appears threatening the 2 dinos. The family instructs the children to be quiet while the father of the small Triceratops arrives defending his family. With a stalemate on the horizon between both parties, both groups start to leave, when the baby in the family homes begins to cry at the sight of the Allosaurus. The remainder of the film becomes a survival thriller as the parents try to quiet the child down while evacuating the other kids, all while the Allosaurus shreds through their homes. The Allosaurus is then taken out by the daughter with the crossbow and retreats back into the forest as the rest of the community comes out to help the family. The credits are then sprinkled with found footage scenes of other incidents throughout the country, showing how multiple forms of dinosaurs are disrupting ordinary citizens and ordinary situations. First shows a little girl being chased by cute little compies, then a POV shot of a car rolling off a cliff to avoid hitting a Stegosaurus, followed by a fisherman floating by a Parasaurolophus, then came the famous Dino Shark from the first Jurassic World film eating a normal shark, finally ending with a pterodactyl snatching a dove thrown by a bride and groom on their wedding day. These scenes are supposedly setting up the direction of where the third Jurassic World is going, seeing dinosaurs in our daily lives and the consequences of such a situation. Back to you, Abby.
Thank you for that wonderful segment, Ben.
Icon Cure.
Oh, our latest development has our very own Logan Lewis covering it.
That's right. Our research team has predicted there is a storm a brewing.
That's right. There's an 88.9544236847910% chance of it raining and emo music coming in with the high pressure wave.
Okay, hold up for a second. Did you just accurately guess the weather?
Okay, professional Parker, stay professional, all right? Just like Logan Lewis is always serious with his segments. Let's hear it, Logan.
Be Still, My Emo Teenage Heart, the tour of my dreams, and hopefully yours too, was announced last week. Pop-punk powerhouses Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy revealed they're going on a combined tour in the summer of 2020. Entitled the Hella Mega Tour, the three groups will begin their tour in Europe starting in June and make their way over to the States in July. 28 shows have been announced, not including a modest announcement show in Los Angeles on September 10th. If you don't know any of these bands, one, get out from your incredibly stale rock and go study up. Weezer and Green Day gained their success in the 90s, while Fall Out Boy hit a decade later. Fall Out Boy actually inducted Green Day into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and considered Green Day to be huge inspirations to them. With the announcement of the massive tour, the three bands also released new singles. Green Day's Father of All, Weezer's The End of the Game, and Fall Out Boy's Dear Future Self were all released the day that the tour was revealed. And I have to be honest, they weren't that great for the most part. Father of All wasn't bad, though it didn't jump out at me or surprise me. It sounded like your typical new age Green Day song, which isn't my favorite. Dear Future Self was perhaps my least favorite of the three, as I haven't listened to new Fall Out Boy songs since American Beauty, American Psycho, which was only okay. Their newer, popular sound just isn't my thing, and I tend to stick to the older stuff. The End of the Game, however, is an awesome song. Of the three bands, I've listened to Weezer the least, but I still love a lot of their songs, and The End of the Game is no different. I recommend you listen to all three of the songs, even if newer Green Day or Fall Out Boy isn't quite your speed. While it may seem like I'm not an actual fan of these bands, I grew up on this music. Green Day was my first music love, I've listened to Fall Out Boy since I was a young boy, and even though I've only delved into Weezer recently, I can say I would have loved them just as much as Green Day and Fall Out Boy in my younger years. These bands are still on heavy rotation on my Spotify, and that will continue indefinitely, especially with this coming tour. This tour is a nostalgia dream come true, and a tour I definitely won't be missing. The only thing that would have made this better was bringing MCR on with them. We miss you, MCR. Please come back soon. For all angsty teens and adults out there, I'm Logan Lewis.
Thank you for the great field reporting, Logan.
There's nothing better than one of the executive producers coming down to deal with the rest of us lowly crew.
Hey, we're professionals now, remember?
You're right. We need to stay family-oriented to keep our sponsors.
Indubitably.
Pip, pip, cheerio.
Oi, look, will we professional we are?
Not more professional than British accents.
And not a word from our sponsor.
Okay,
Oi.
professional.
And if it comes looking for me, they will welcome death. I want revenge.
Ride till I can't no more. Nobody tell me nothing.
I want them to know that death is coming. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. This is Major Roy McBride. I'm attempting to reach Dr. Clifford McBride. This is Dr. McBride's son. Dad, I'd like to see you again. I recall how we used to watch black and white movies together, and musicals were your favorite. I remember you
A
tutoring.
royal luncheon, a parade, and a dinner. I'm going to have to sit down.
How's it all going?
Mary's got it under control.
Hardly. I need your help, Carson.
I'll be there in the morning, my lady. Don't you worry.
Should we really go on with it?
You mean leave Downton? Downton Abbey's the heart of this community, and you're keeping...
Phew. I think we almost had a second British invasion there for a second.
Yeah, we did. You don't know you're beautiful, baby.
No. The British invasion was... Never mind, I can't even be angry right now because we're being too professional, so...
You're right. There's just too much news to report on.
Exactly, and I'm getting reports of horror of Ball State.
Please elaborate, Abby.
Well, apparently, there's a horrific student production that is going off the rails, and reports have stated that Ball State's best comedic news source for all things entertainment is no longer, and I quote, staying in their lane.
Like something straight out of a novel. A fiction novel, nonetheless. Ugh,
Okay.
absolutely childish.
You're right.
Anastasia is here to present her report. Let's hear it.
The only childish thing here is your terrible, recycled puns. Cut it out. Take it away, Anastasia.
If you love him or hate him, you can't deny the influence of Stephen King in today's pop culture. If one didn't have the time or patience to sit through an entire Stephen King novel, movies and TV have been adapting his novels since 1976. In recent years, however, there's been an upkick of King adaptations gracing our screens. A total of 4 feature-length films are to be released by the end of 2019, as well as the second season of the anthology series Castle Rock. So the true question is why? Why all of a sudden is Stephen King so popular again? What makes him so different from all the other horror authors out there? If you've ever tried to read a Stephen King novel, you know it's not easy. He may be widely recognized as the best in the business when it comes to horror, but goodness, can that man ramble? He puts flashbacks and flashbacks, gives you inconsequential details about this part of a small town and some really weird subplots. I'm looking at you, weird cosmic turtle from It. But for some reason, directors and film studios want his stories for their own. It's probably because while King isn't a great writer, he is a great storyteller. He knows how to weave these stories that we don't want to put down or stop watching till the end. King writes characters that we can connect to, and they're flawed, and we can see ourselves in them, or we see someone we know in them. And then he puts them into situations that almost everyone is afraid of. Isolation, choices beyond our control, and of course the occasional psychopathic killer. And despite publishing his first book in 1974, he still managed to enrapture generation after generation. There is the possibility that the simple nostalgia of something our grandparents or parents told us about, so we kind of grew up knowing of Stephen King, but that of course does not account for the books and movies and series before there was even a chance to grow nostalgia. Another possibility is that despite the generational gap, that fears are still fears. Humiliation, death, monsters, and being under the will of another are fears that cross that gap between our grandparents and ourselves. It could be the characters that King seems to write always are so human. They're flawed and angry and happy and depressed, and we relate to them and love them and hate them in a way that makes us flock. And the sudden popularity of King's adaptations to film is a mystery of its own. Sure, when the original Carrie came out, it was a hit, and as well as The Shining, though King actually hates Stanley Kubrick's movie. But there's a lot of bad too, such as Thinner, Maximum Overdrive, The Mangler, to name a few. So why do studios want to continue making these movies? It could be because remakes sell. It, Pet Sematary are both extremely popular when the original films were out, and then remade, they were even more popular. Or it could just simply because all the contracts that King signed off on for his stories are finally ending, which is a much easier explanation than trying to understand what CEOs are thinking. And I'm not really sure if anyone knows how the movie industry works, especially what makes something popular or not. Stephen King, however, is popular, and if history keeps repeating, then he will be for a while. And that's it for me. I'm Anastasia Scott.
Okay. Thank you, Anastasia.
This just in. Breaking news. Nate is here on the scene. We're tuning in now.
This past weekend, we lost 2 of the greatest names in classic rock. On Friday, September 13th, 2019, Eddie Money passed away at the age of 70 after losing his battle to stage 4 esophageal cancer. And on Sunday, September 15th, 2019, Rick Ocasek, the lead singer of The Cars, at age 75, passed away due to natural causes. As someone who was raised on both these artists' music, both of these deaths hit me hard. Let's start with Eddie Money, the Grammy-nominated artist behind classic hits like Take Me Home Tonight, 2 Tickets to Paradise, and my personal favorite, Baby Hold On. He initially got his start in the late 70s with his debut album, aptly titled Eddie Money, that not only featured some of his most popular songs, but also was his best-selling album and went on to win the platinum 2 times. He soon began to collaborate with popular artists from the likes of Kenny Loggins and Valerie Carter. Money's career hit a roadblock in the early to mid-80s when his album Where's the Party flopped and his drug addiction worsened. Though in 1986, he made a comeback with arguably his most popular song, Take Me Home Tonight, putting his career back on track. Aside from music, Money had also guest starred in several sitcoms such as The Drew Carey Show, The King of Queens, and most recently, The Kominsky Method. In 2001, Money entered a 12-step program to help deal with his drinking. And in 2003, he announced that he was officially clean and sober. Money had a new album titled Brand New Day that was set to debut on July 19th of this year, though the album was put on hold because of his health issues. Rick Ocasek was the lead singer and one of the founding members of the 70s new wave rock band The Cars, famous for songs like Drive, My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed, and Magic, among others. Ocasek wrote and sang many of the band's most popular songs alongside Benjamin Orr, who passed away in October of 2000. After the band disbanded, Ocasek went on to attempt a solo career, though the sales of his albums didn't live up to the massive success of his work in The Cars. In 2010, Ocasek reunited with his bandmates, and The Cars went on to record one last album titled Move Like This. Ocasek also had a career in producing albums for different bands, including Weezer, which had produced both the Blue Album and the Green Album. In March of 2018, Ocasek, along with the rest of The Cars, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As someone whose music taste is almost exclusively classic rock, the music of both Money and Ocasek have been staples of family barbecues and my Spotify daily mixes, and their music has left quite an impact on me personally. Just because they're gone, it doesn't mean their music is, and I believe that their music will be around for a very long time. I'm thankful for that. Until next time, I'm Nate Richard.
But then he said, "You're all I thought about in juvie." And I'm like, who says that, you know? Like that's... Air. Oh, shoot. Okay, thank you, Nate.
Incorrigible.
What? I did...
don't go round and round. You go round.
I can't do this serious. Stay tuned for our final word.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you. We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
And when would you say that things got out of control?
Past the mirror. Please help! This is my husband! Like a honey bun, spit like a Tommy gun, roll you with a one, roll, get your mommy some bread. I like my niggas perfect, dude, say he gonna eat this like soon.
So the guy went back 3 more times.
Guess he must have liked it.
I need your help. We gotta get out of here.
I ain't going nowhere.
You can't hide from us, Batty. Don't worry about finding me. I'll find you. Listen to me. We're gonna make a move. Now people are gonna fall. But not you.
Ever heard of a show called Undone? Me neither. Apparently, it's Amazon's newest series by the showrunner of BoJack Horseman. Not that they bothered to market it at all, but it turns out It's amazing, you know? The show revolves around Alma, a young adult bored by life and its repetitive nature. After she suffers a near fatal car crash, she starts seeing her long dead father. He reveals powers that Alma never knew about herself. She has the power to control time itself. Using these powers and the guidance of her past father, she has to solve the mystery surrounding his death. Now, it's got a pretty cool premise, but nothing too extraordinary. So why am I reviewing it? Well, one, it's got Bob Odenkirk starring in it, and that alone should be the price of admission for Undone. But there's something more. Undone features an unheard of way to reinvent their visuals. The production of this show revolves around filming in a studio, then handing that footage off to the art department to mix painted backgrounds with 3D CGI. Along with that, they hand draw over the actors to create this surreal animated style. And this is all possible by a process involving a rotoscope, which is mostly known from a-ha's music video, Take On Me. By combining so many stylized effects, it leads to amazing visuals that are entirely unforgettable, especially since the main pull of the show is time travel. In almost every other show, the process of traveling in time involves getting in a police box, smacking their watches on their wrists, or some other contrived device. Then they have about 10 seconds to a forgettable special effect. But that's not here with Undone. Because they can rely on 2D animations, they can create these wonderful scenes when rooms collapse in on themselves, all while almost turning into a blur. Transitions have rooms spinning like clockwork. People melt into skeletons and decompose as time passes, or they grow from babies into old seniors. And sometimes these effects even border on creepy. But while all these animations are amazing, they're not without fault. Sometimes the characters border on the uncanny valley, and the mix of hyper-realistic drawings on live people can look strange at times. Tie that in with everything in frame always being perfectly in focus, it can feel a little trippy to watch. Overall though, I can't recommend this show enough. Hardly ever do projects with new, unique, creative visions get bankrolled, and even fewer of these shows actually have great actors and an interesting premise to tag along with it. Given that it's helmed by the creatives behind BoJack Horseman, it's easy to say that Undone's in good hands. You'll definitely need to watch Undone, then tell your friends all about it, because Amazon's marketing team sure didn't. That's all I've got. What about you, Abby?
Well said, Parker. This week, I want to talk about one of my favorite singers, Ingrid Michaelson. Over the summer, Ingrid released her 9th album titled Stranger Songs. This album was inspired by the hit series Stranger Things, and the artist released it just before their newest season came out on Netflix, which is a great way to market, by the way. I must say this album was a lot better than I had expected, and I don't want that to be mean, but a couple of years ago, Ingrid's mother passed away, and after that time, her music became really sad. So sad, in fact, that I could only listen to it when I wanted a really good cry. While this isn't a bad thing, given that she was writing what inspired her, I missed hearing the positive, upbeat, in-love Ingrid that I once knew. This album has a few depressing songs, but for the most part, the album is filled with inspiration, love, and being strong. The album features 11 songs. The top 5, in my opinion, were Pretty, Hate You, Young and in Love, Best Friend, and Freak Show. If you've even seen Stranger Things before, you can probably already see the inspiration from the show just based on some of those titles. Pretty was a huge standout to me. It's filled with the most inspiration. This song has a message of, I'm tired of being expected to look pretty all the time, I'm not scared, and I'm ready to fight like a girl. This song is the true meaning of feminism to me, and it inspires me to be a strong woman and break from societal norms. All of the songs are inspiring though, and the whole album can hold several different meanings to several people. Anyone can find their own standout song. If you've been through a breakup recently, if you've found love recently, if you're fighting for something, all of these things can be struck with this album. These elements make listeners want to listen to every word, plus there is the bonus element of Stranger Things ties, which I imagine pulled in several listeners. I should point out though that this album proves to me that an artist can do so much more than entertain and market. While she did these things, she also highlighted what a powerful artist can do. She showed that an artist can point to every emotion possible and make people feel something. Artists can bring pop culture into their work, but still maintain their own personal style and feelings. Artists can fight for things that they stand for without attacking specific people through their work. Ingrid touches on love, heartbreak, feminism, finding your place, getting through a really complicated time, growing up, and so much more. She did more in one album than some artists have done in their entire career. Given her career and experience, this isn't the least bit surprising, but I'm still glad that there is at least one artist to really make me feel something when I listen to their work. I don't want this to be an attack on other artists. I still love the artists that strictly write love songs, and I think some of the artists that sing about partying constantly can be great. But I think looking at Ingrid's career can show truly dynamic work. So I encourage everyone to give Stranger Songs a listen. Remind yourself what music can do for you.
Well, so much for a serious episode.
Let's be honest, did we ever really think we could pull it off?
Nope. But if you want more from us here at The Real Deal, you can check out our Facebook, Twitter, and website for all things entertainment. I'm your host, Barker Carlson.
And I'm Abby Perry. We'll see you next time on The Real Deal.